Your prayer chaplains are available for prayers of celebration, gratitude, or concerns, or anything, following each Sunday service. As Reverend Rich pointed out already, let's stay in the main room and Mary will let one by one come into the prayer room following the service. We're also available following the noon meditation for prayer. Kevin has also put a link in the chat box to submit your prayer request using our online form. Now let us prepare our hearts and minds for a time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable position in your seats. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a few deep breaths. Let go of any distractions or worries that may be on your mind as you settle into this special time.
One life, one love, one peace in our lifetime. One life at a time. One truth, one world, one peace in our lifetime. One life at a time. One life, one love, one life at a time. One life, one love, one life at a time. One voice, one choice, one peace in our lifetime. One life at a time. One prayer, one dream, one peace in our lifetime. One life at a time. One love, one life at a time. One life at a time. One life at a time.
And so we settle into a time of meditation this morning, a time that's our time. So let's again take another deep breath in, deep breath in, and hold it for just a moment. And then slowly exhale, slowly exhale, slowly exhale. And another deep breath in, and hold it for a moment. And then again, as you exhale, allow the belly to drop. Allow the shoulders to relax. Allow the mouth and jaw to slow down and relax, to let go. To let go. I invite you to let go. To let go of any thoughts that are about anything that went on this morning before you came to the virtual service. Let go of any conversations, any phone calls, any driving that you may have done. Just let go and allow yourself to become present in this very moment. To become present, to begin focusing on the breath, the breathing in, the breathing out, the rhythmic breath, the breath of God, the breath of the universe, the breath of all abundance, the breath of substance, breathing in, breathing out, the centering breath, the breath that brings us back to the knowing that there is but one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. The presence of God, God the good, God the good. Breathing in and breathing out, I invite you to settle into the goodness of God. Settle into that goodness. Allow the goodness of God to move through you, to enter through that crown chakra, to allow that crown chakra to open up and allow the goodness of the universe, the goodness of God, the goodness of spirit to make its way in and through you, to move down through the skull and around the ears and forehead, to move through the nose and mouth, to move through the back of the neck. And as that goodness begins to flow, the body relaxes. The body allows itself to fill with the goodness of God. Breathing in and breathing out, I settle into the seat I'm sitting in. I feel my feet on the floor. My chest begins to relax. My belly is dropped. My hips sink into the seat. My legs take a breath and let go. My feet are relaxed now. And if there's any place in your body that you feel stress or tension, focus on the breath, breathing in and breathing out, breathing into that tenseness and letting it go as you breathe out. As the body relaxes, the mind begins to relax. The thoughts begin to slow down. And that centering breath, that breath of the universe, that breathing in and out, slows us down even more. And in that slowness, I become even more aware than I usually am that I am a divine being. I am divine in the midst of this human experience. I am divine. And in my divinity, I am abundant. There is an abundance of substance available to me for this human experience. So we settle into the abundance. We settle into the knowing that we are abundant in the midst of this human experience. That God mind produces ideas that we choose to express. And then in that expression, we choose to express our divinity. Settling into our divinity now, settling into a time of silence, settling into a time of breathing, settling into a time of peace, settling into a time of love, settling into a time of oneness. We sit now. We sit in the silence. In the silence. Breathing in and breathing out now. Breathing in and breathing out. Sitting here still in the midst of an abundant universe. In the midst of knowing that the universe is mine to have and that I am one with all that is, and all that is one with me. Slowly coming back to this present moment now, taking in a deep, deep breath, holding it for a moment. And as we exhale, we slowly allow the eyes to come open, coming back now to this service. We say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Um, we cannot change the world we see till change begins in you and me. We change the world around us when the change begins within. So let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. The lessons from the willow tree is strength and flexibility. When nothing seems to go my way, it's time to learn to sway. So let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within.
Morning. Good to be back here with you. I've had a couple weeks without doing the talk, and I was looking forward to kicking off our year of abundance, a year of abundant living. And so we begin to focus on abundance. But I wanted to just bring a couple of housekeeping things up first. And I want to start out by saying I hope you enjoyed Reverend Jane Simmons last week. I loved her talk. I thought it was great. I see a couple of you out there, and I'm going to ask her to join us again. I think she'll come back. She enjoyed it. And then I wanted to just tell you what's coming up over the next few weeks. Next week, as Bob said, Jen Hutchins, the minister at Unity Arts Ministry based at Unity Village, will be presenting Your Creative Life, and Alethea Rising will be there for the music next week. So I think you're going to enjoy Jen. I don't know if you know that Unity, back at Unity Village, has a Unity Arts Ministry, but Google it and look it up. There's a lot going on with the arts back at Unity Village. And then I'm just excited. February the 18th, we're going to celebrate Black History Month. And Reverend Josephine Furlow will join me for the talk that day. I'm so looking forward to being with her as we pay tribute to Reverend Ruth Mosley. Reverend Ruth is an African-American minister that was the creator and founder of the Unity Urban Ministerial School. So Josephine and I are going to come together to tell you the story of Reverend Ruth and how she overcame racism in the Unity movement and moved forward in the principles of truth and brought Unity Urban Ministerial School and just some of the ministers that program has brought us for urban ministry. So join Reverend Josephine and I. And then on February 25th, the fabulous Karen Drucker will be here, and she'll be doing the music and the talk that Sunday. So looking forward to having Karen. And we didn't have a slide in today, but you'll see a slide next week and in the e-news. Our annual meeting is being held on March the 3rd. It'll be held virtually, and it'll be immediately after service. So plan on staying that Sunday right after service for our annual meeting. And I can't believe I'm going to be saying this, but Easter's early this year. Easter's March the 31st. So we'll be moving into Easter then at the end of March. So as I was preparing for today's talk, I thought, oh my God, I hope I have a successful sermon today. And so I thought I'd better look up what is a successful sermon. And I saw a quote by George Burns that I think sums it up. He said, George Burns says, the secret of a good sermon is to have a good beginning and a good ending, and to have the two as close together as possible. Well, don't look for that this morning. Ha ha ha. And then, you know, there was a little girl who asked her mother, how did the human race appear? The mother answered, God made Adam and Eve, and they had children, and so all mankind was made. 2 days later, the little girl asked her father the same question. The father answered, many years ago, there were monkeys from which the human race evolved. Well, the confused little girl returned to her mother and said, Mom, how is it possible that you told me God created the human race and Dad said they developed from monkeys? And the mother didn't miss a beat. She said, well, dear, it's very simple. I told you about my side of the family, and your father told you about his. And then just one more on a somewhat serious vein, because this is entitled Priorities. And I think we're seeing this in our world today. And Priorities says this: morality is doing the right thing regardless of what you are told. Fanatic religion is doing what you are told regardless of what is right. There we go. Well, that song that David was singing is just such an appropriate song for our talk today, because today we're here to discuss abundance and the techniques for an abundant living. And as the song says, the ways to abundance is change. Oh, there it is again, change. There we go again, change. And yes, that's usually what we need to do when we think about abundance, that we cannot change the world we see till change begins in you and me. We change the world around us when the change begins within. And so abundance is simple. It comes down to what you're thinking. And if you're not thinking abundance, if you're not thinking that you deserve and can have all the good that God has put in the universe, then I invite you to change your thinking. To change your thinking and know that you can have everything that you need, everything that you desire. Now, it might not look just the way you think it ought to look, but when you settle into true abundance, you'll know when the universe is giving you what you need. So, what is abundance? What's the metaphysical meaning of abundance? I went to the Revealing Word, and spiritual abundance, ideas in consciousness of the omnipresent supply and support of the one mind. Let me say that again. Ideas in consciousness of the omnipresent supply and support of the one mind. That we have, that God is here, that we are one with God, and that we have that connection with God, and God has that connection with us. And it's basic new thought, the God mind, all there is, produces ideas. And we get to choose. what we're going to express in this human experience. And no matter how it appears that someone else may not be feeling their abundance, usually by changing their thinking, they can change their abundance consciousness. And so the revealing word also talks about steps in demonstrating abundance. And it says, first, we must recognize abundance as an idea that is real and has the power to expand. Then we must talk abundance. We must choose words representing abundance and thus build up an invisible world of substance. In this way, we build or form in our mind that which draws us to an abundance of every good thing. So we got to stop watching the TV. We got to stop talking lack. We got to stop talking there's not enough of, or that I can't, or I should have, or I could have. And we've got to talk abundance. We've got to talk that we're limitless, that we have everything that we need in this human experience, and that yes is the magic word. That if we say yes, we can receive it. And if we're willing to give as well, that law of giving and receiving begins to flow, and abundance is for us to claim. Last night, I was ushering again. I love it when I get a story to tell you when I'm ushering, and I was at the Leisure Center, and the California Symphony was there. And I was excited because it was the theme of it was Gershwin in New York. Rhapsody in Blue turns 100. No, that oh boy, Rhapsody in Blue, Gershwin, and apparently I learned last night that the copyright on Rhapsody in Blue just ran out, and so it no longer has to be played a certain way. That people can do what they want to do with it, well, so to speak. And last night, also at the Gershwin concert, was famed jazz pianist Marcus Roberts and his trio. And they bring a modern interpretation to George Gershwin's beloved Rhapsody in Blue. So I was anxious to hear this. There was the piano, which was Marcus Roberts. And then there was a gentleman on a double bass. And then there was the drums, and they were up in front of the orchestra. It was fun. It was great. It was jazzy. It was different. But I want to talk a little bit about Marcus Roberts. Now, Marcus Roberts is an African-American man who was born in Jacksonville, Florida. His mother was a gospel singer who had gone blind as a teenager, and his father was a longshoreman. Not only was his mother blind, but Robert himself was blind since the age of 5 due to glaucoma and cataracts. Robert started learning the piano at age 5 by picking out notes on the instrument at his church until his parents bought a piano when he was 8. He attended the Florida School of the Deaf and the Blind in St. Augustine, Florida, the alma mater of Ray Charles. Roberts began teaching himself piano at an early age and having his first lesson at 12, and then studying with Leonidas Lipovetsky while attending Florida State University. What a story of abundance. Blind at the age of 5. His mother was blind. He could have said right then and there, well, I can't do anything. I'm blind. I can't see. My life is over. I'm worthless. I'm limited. Well, I'm getting choked up because if you were there and you would have seen Marcus playing the piano, at one point, his fingers were moving so fast that a tear came to my eye. It was with grace and ease and with fun jazz, and it was wonderful. he changed his thinking, or he never went down that lack path. He loved the piano, and he did what it took and held in his consciousness and used substance to create this human experience for himself. And so as the audience stood and gave him a standing ovation and he bowed, you could see the humility and also the love that he was receiving from the audience and the love that he was giving. So I mentioned the word substance. So what is substance? What's the truth about substance? Substance is the divine idea of the underlying reality of all things. Substance is everywhere present. Substance pervades all things, and substance inspires to action. Substance underlies all manifestation and is the spiritual essence, the living energy out of which everything is made. When we begin to imagine, and that first thought of imagination, we begin to form substance. We begin to form substance in our mind, and through faith, the perceiving power of mind, we bring it into existence in this human experience. So I invite you to get yourself, well, not only do I invite you, but Eric Butterworth invites you to get into your consciousness that you live in substance as a fish lives in water, that you are created by substance, formed of substance, and ceaselessly supported by substance. That the free flow of substance in your life is the continuation of the divine effort that made you in the first place. Now, you notice I haven't said a word about things or money or acquiring or cars or Porsches or whatever else. I'm talking about thought. I'm talking about substance. I'm talking about creating an abundant life. Charles, and I use the words this morning, prosperity and abundance, as one. And so Charles Fillmore says this: prosperity or abundance is a way of living and thinking, and not just money or things. And poverty is a way of living and thinking, and not just a lack of money or things. What you think is what you get. The law of mind action, it's everywhere present. What we hold in our thoughts, what we call forth to create is what we get. Eric Butterworth did a series of talks, and they were titled Essays on Abundant Living. And he wrote them in May of 1975. I always loved it, go back to 75 and read what was written about the times and what was happening in the times, or what were remedies for the times, and look at, here we are in 2024, and my goodness, they still apply, don't they? And Butterworth says this: in a time when the world is facing the grim specter of lack, there's a great need to understand the omnipresence of divine substance. There is little question that people can fail and even go hungry in the experience of life. But the great truth of the reality of affluence is that there is a legitimate abundance for every person, which we can and must claim for ourselves. One more time there. The great truth of the reality of affluence is that there is a legitimate substance for every person, which we can and must claim for ourselves. We must claim it. We must claim it. I guess I feel strongly about claiming it because I've said it 4 times. And see, that's the trick. You can know it, but you have to claim it. You have to make it you. You have to claim your abundance. You have to believe it. You have to speak it. You have to affirm it. And that lack of any kind in the human experience is the result of some kind of obstruction of the free flow of the creative process. That lack is some kind of obstruction of the free flow of creating the substance, the abundance that we want. And who's doing the obstructing? Me and you. Stopping it. Oh, I'm not worth that. Oh, I shouldn't, I couldn't, I wouldn't. Now Eric says this, let's be clear about our terms. We are thinking in this lesson about prosperity, not necessarily as having a lot of money, but as having a consciousness of the flow of substance, which attracts opportunities to give and receive, which directs the wise use of substance, and which still remains free from its burden. I think that's such a great line, that we attract the substance and we direct that use of substance, the substance that remains free from its burden. Oh, how many, and you know what I mean, the burden of, I gotta have this, I gotta have a new car, I gotta have a new house, I need. And then that burden starts to build up. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have spent that amount. Maybe why did I claim that? And so a burden begins to fall on us. And having a burden is an abundant living. Claiming the substance that's yours to claim is abundant living. So starting to talk about abundance, and we're going to talk about abundance throughout this year. Eric Butterworth, in his essay, gave us a few techniques for abundantly living. And he says that essentially this new insight in truth is a technique in realizing the abundant life. It consists of thoughts to think, words to speak, and positive and creative things to do. So Butterworth is going to give us simple yet practical things that you may find helpful. They're given as a sample of our emphasis on the practical. These techniques are not simply to read, but to affirm and to decree in the face of challenging times. They will work for you if you work them. You've heard that before. They'll work for you if you work them. And that to affirm and decree your abundance. So, and I'm going to talk about these techniques, and then I'm going to go through them somewhat quickly, and I'm going to give an affirmation and a reflection about each one. And I've got 4 of them for you. Excuse me. And the first abundant technique from Eric Butterworth is to meet change. And that's our hardest one a lot of times. The one real certainty in life, Eric says, is change. Because of our desire for stability and security, sometimes we resist and become anxious during changing conditions. We need to prayerfully build into our consciousness the realization that the eternal God is our dwelling place, and underneath are the everlasting arms. That God is our dwelling place, and underneath all that is the strength of God, God's everlasting arms. And so I invite you to affirm, I do not resist change, for I know that only God, the good, governs me, my circumstances, and my environment. I do not resist change, for I know that only God, the good, governs me, my circumstances, and my environment. And then a reflection about change. God gives me the wisdom and strength to meet the inevitable changes that occur in my life. And it's true. In this human experience, if you settle down and slow down and listen, you'll find that you have all the wisdom and strength that you need to move through any circumstance in this human experience. When we let go of lack thinking, when we move into abundant consciousness, when we know that we are one and that we have all that we need, what a difference life can be. Abundance technique number 2, and this is so true. Allow forgiveness. Allow forgiveness. One of the greatest stumbling blocks, Eric says, for many people is forgiving of wrongdoers, or self-forgiveness, and accepting the forgiveness of God, the forgiveness of the universe. This affirmation will help you to enter into the current of divine love and let its forgiving activity flow freely through you. And the affirmation is, the forgiving love of God sets me free, and I am at peace. The forgiving love of God sets me free, and I am at peace. And then we reflect. The forgiving love of God now fills my heart and floods my entire being. I let go any thought that others have injured me in any way. Forgiveness. And then the last one I'm going to bring to you is create peace. Create peace. And I looked at this one and I thought, create peace. And let me tell you what Butterworth says about creating peace, because it's true, because we need to do it to allow abundance to come in our life. Butterworth says, how can we find the time to do the things that we want and need to do, and to do them without feeling rushed, hurried, or tense? We can prayerfully deny these things as having any part of our life and set a new theme of living in tune with the infinite. That to really know our abundance, we need to slow down. We need to stop the busyness, the helter-skelter, the having too many appointments, the saying yes to too many things. We need to deny the desire to have to do that, to think that that's part of our abundance. And to relax, take a breath. And I love it, live in tune with the infinite. To get into one of Eric's books is In the Flow of Life. To get in the flow of life, to settle into the flow of life, to say yes to the flow of life, to say yes to an abundant life. The affirmation for creating peace: I work without strain, walk without hurry, and live without tension, for I am in tune with the infinite. I work without strain, walk without hurry, and live without tension. I am in tune with the infinite. And the reflection: I am now established in the peace and poise of spirit. I do the things I need to do easily, efficiently, and effortlessly. Butterworth says we need to accustom ourselves to think that we are surrounded by a divine presence that wishes us good, because we are expressing its life, that we are God in expression, that we are this universe in expression, that we need to keep conscious that we are forever in the flow of substance. No matter how things change in the world around you or what happens to you, the flow of substance is constant. All that's required is that you keep conscious of the flow, keep open by positive thought, keep responsive in faith, and keep moving in the direction of your dreams. So I invite you to go forward, moving in the direction of your dreams and knowing that the abundance of the universe is yours. Thank you. Have a great week. Thank you.